Update: wife is pregnant, baby might not be mine. There has been a significant amount of change in my life over the past several months, and it has been almost 6 months since I last blogged anything. My firm has offered me a temporary move to one of its northern branches, and I choose to accept it. In this particular circumstance, the adage "a change is as good as a rest" proved to be spot on. The experience of working in a new environment was exactly what I required, and it was a relief to be in a place where I was not constantly reminded of my current circumstances. As soon as I got back to my house, it became very clear to me how miserable I had been in London. The city is not one in which I take pleasure in living or working, and as a result, I have taken the choice to relocate. There was also a brief, casual connection that I had with another person, but it didn't really have any lasting impact on my life. When I was in the act, I thought that having some meaningless sex would be beneficial, and it was. However, after the deed, I always felt bad, so I stopped. Last Monday, my wife gave birth to our child. In addition, she consented to a DNA test. The encounter I had with her on Wednesday was a memorable one. Because I haven't actually communicated with her in the last half a year, the encounter was a really unpleasant experience for me. I have never been someone that her parents are particularly fond of, and the past several months have not been able to change their perception of me in any way. I was holding the baby, and she kept asking me whether I could feel it as I was holding it. I'm not really sure what it is, but I did pick up on a certain sensation. After I informed her of my intentions to relocate, she expressed her agreement with my decision to do so, insisting that it may be a new beginning for us to begin with. I am not sure whether I trust her when she says that she has never had an affair because I do not have any proof to support her claim. I'm not quite sure that I want her to accompany me on this trip. A few days ago, I did receive the results of the test, and it was determined that the baby is mine. Her viewpoint has been made abundantly clear. She desires for us to remain a single family and household. To tell you the truth, I'm not sure as to whether or not that is what I want anymore. To tell you the truth, I have no idea what it is that I want anymore. I am currently experiencing a primary feeling that might be described as confusion and uncertainty. Whether you choose to stay with her or leave her, I am now connected to her in a number of ways on account of our baby. When it comes to this matter, I am giving it a great deal of consideration before making a decision. The therapist that I see believes that trust is the most important factor in every relationship, and that if you do not trust someone, then you cannot have a genuine connection with them. In addition to that, he inquired as to whether or not I could trust her once more, or whether or not I could imagine myself being in a place in the future where I could trust her once more. The answers to each of these queries are beyond my comprehension at the time. Fiancé cheated on me in a gym. I have not yet adequately digested what took place, despite the fact that it has been over a year since it occurred. I was under the impression that I had finally found my ideal partner. To tell you the truth, she gave off the impression of being the kindest and most innocent person, but she was actually leading a double life right in front of my eyes. After being engaged for a few months, we were quite enthusiastic about the prospect of beginning our life together as a couple. Being in our 20s, we were still fairly youthful. In order to get us financially established, I was working 2 jobs to the point of exhaustion. While she was working, she was only making a little wage, and she was also continuing her education on the side. I had a strong commitment to the cause, and I wanted to provide a decent life for us. Together, we were making an effort to adopt a healthy lifestyle by improving our dietary habits and engaging in frequent physical activity. The subject of signing up for a membership at a gym was then brought up. As a means of going to the gym together, we spoke about each of us buying a membership to the facility. Anyhow, then one day she suddenly informed me that she had signed herself up at a different gym rather than the one that we had originally planned on attending to. She had done this without any prior notice. Even though I didn't give it much thought, I didn't mind it. Despite the fact that I found it a little strange, I was content to go to the gym by myself at the first location. Because we were not living together at the time, her new gym was located too far away from where I resided. So, a short period of time passes, somewhere about a week. She has made a few trips to the fitness center. I've been kind, I've inquired about how she's doing, and so on. All appears to be in order, yet she begins to behave in an odd manner. The reason why she is being so cold and irritable is beyond my comprehension. As time goes on, the situation continues to deteriorate. For no apparent reason, she began acting in a manner that was quite hostile toward me, and she refused to open up. Because of this, I started to have a really suspicious feeling, and I wanted to find out what was going on. After conducting some research, I came to the realization that she had signed in to her Instagram account on my computer quite some time ago. Thankfully, I was still able to access her account when I checked, but the information that I saw was really disturbing. I discovered that she had conversed with a man who worked at the gym for a very long time. The conversation lasted for almost a week and began with a somewhat casual tone, for example, "Thank you for assisting me in signing up." After that, however, it immediately became really sexual. It was necessary for me to learn about the things that they intended to do to each other as well as the things that they really did to each else. And can you guess where they made their connection? The office of the gym itself. It made me feel sick to my stomach, disgusted, and horrified all at the same time. I called her right away and informed her of what I discovered and that the situation had been resolved. Her initial response was to deny it, but when she realized that I had seen the discussion, she just hung up on me. In addition, I don't mean this in a negative sense, but the person she hooked up with was not a usual gorgeous guy. I say this because I don't want to be rude. I am a person who is attractive. Tall with black hair and emerald eyes, toned and toned. I don't know why she chose to behave in such a slobbering manner with me. Following that, I called her parents to inform them of what had transpired. In the beginning, they stated, "That is not conceivable. It is not even close to being true." The conversation was then provided to them by me. Following a period of time during which they were digesting it, they attempted to place the responsibility on me. As a result of my excessive workload, they claimed that I had neglected her. Oh my God. I exerted a lot of effort in order to provide for her. She did not accept responsibility for her actions and did not even offer me an apology. Hasn't communicated with her since then. It has a traumatic effect. Girlfriend cheats with my boss. When I was working in a packing factory around 22 years ago, I had recently left a long-term relationship that lasted for 4 years and in which I had been cheated on. She was kicked out of the house, and I began dating once more. During my time at work, I interacted with a young woman who had recently gone through a divorce. We started seeing one another because she was adorable and a lot of fun to be around. Despite the fact that everything was going well, I wasn't taking anything seriously for the long run. I was never able to pull the trigger with her, despite the fact that she would drop clues about moving in together frequently. The situation was not right. As a result of the increased workload at work, I was able to earn additional income by volunteering for as much overtime as I could. Even though my group was quite small and we were very close, I worked throughout the evenings. One of my guys reported that he had seen the automobile belonging to my employer at the apartment complex where my girlfriend lives. Since he lived around 30 miles away, I was aware that something was wrong. Due to the fact that I was called into work the previous weekend, my girlfriend ended up going to the casino on that particular weekend. I had worked for him the previous weekend. As a joke. Something was definitely going on. As a result, I approached her door and knocked on it. She questioned, "Who is it?" "It's me, little one," I said. "I came over to check on you and see how you're doing." I was allotted a few minutes. Despite the fact that she unlocked the door and allowed me to enter, he was nowhere to be seen. It was my request that he leave, and he complied. What was going on and for how long was I questioned? According to them, they had been hooking up for around 2 weeks. My employer, who had just recently gone through a divorce, was having a terrible time with his former spouse. It was up until this moment that I had felt terrible for him. I responded by saying that I didn't care whether he saw her and that I didn't like the high school bullcrap that was being uttered. If he had wanted a turn, he could have simply informed me, and we could have dealt with the situation as adults. After he expressed his regret for the situation, I informed him that I did not want this to interfere with my occupational therapy. Even so, I was determined to put in as many weekend shifts as I could. He stated that there would be no issue. I never once recognized the presence of my soon-to-be ex-spouse at any point in time. Instantaneously, she vanished into thin air and was unable to utter a single syllable while I was around. I never gave her any kind of response, despite the fact that she repeatedly tried to catch my attention and apologize to me. In the midst of his tumultuous divorce and my relationship with my fiancé, my boss had been seeing a cute young woman who worked at the factory. She was approximately 20 years old. A few days later, when I was at work, she inquired about the situation. After I informed her about what had occurred, she appeared to be a bit hurt. I reassured her that it was fortunate that she discovered it at this time, before it became more serious. I was told by her that we need to go out and humiliate them. As we did in fact. As for her, she was a weirdo. I had a great time hanging out with her. When my supervisor was present at the workplace one day, one of my coworkers approached me and inquired about the situation of my date. I stated that it was wonderful and maybe the finest deal I had ever made in my whole life. There are no regrets. A moment ago, my supervisor stood up and left the room. For around 2 weeks, we did not engage in any conversation that was not related to business. On Fridays, we made sales exclusively to employees of the company. We would provide the employees with their meal once they had paid and received a ticket from the receptionist. The employees would then deliver the ticket to us. When I was leaving, my supervisor told me, "Hey, I'm going to take these 10 boxes, each weighing 10 pounds, and I'll pay for them right away." In order for me to determine whether or not he had paid, the way out ran directly by the office of the receptionist. No, he did not. This was a direct pass. Due to the fact that he appeared to have made this choice on the spur of the moment, I phoned the plant accountant and requested that he check the cash box as well as the tickets to determine whether or not there were any tickets available for my director. I had a sneaking suspicion that my ex-girlfriend would just fill out the tickets and have them ready, and that way, no matter how short the box was, we would not be able to catch her. There were no fines issued, so he just got in trouble and was ultimately terminated from his position. After some time had passed, she was being examined, and it appeared that she had a short amount of cash in the cash box. Nevertheless, it was impossible to determine for certain. Someone was brought in to pay for the dinner with a $100 bill, and they did this. Due to the fact that there were no significant orders completed throughout the remainder of the day that would have required $100 as change, as well as the fact that the $100 note was not present in the box at the conclusion of the day, they were aware that she was shortchanging them. She was terminated from her position. In my capacity as the superintendent of the department, I took over for the boss. I got rid of a girlfriend who was cheating on me. I had wild sex with his ex-girlfriend and got to boast about it to him. I got rid of the same cheating employer. I got 2 thieves fired. I earned a promotion, and I still got to keep my overtime pay. The majority of the time, things don't go as planned for me, but it was an invaluable experience.